Hello, this is Dr. Vimal Chand Sontake. I am going to teach the course Heat Transfer. Following are the objectives of this video lecture. Objective 1 is to explain one-dimensional steady-state heat conduction through plane cylinder or cylindrical wall. And objective 2 is to define overall heat transfer coefficient for this cylindrical wall. This is our umbrella heading, one-dimensional steady-state heat conduction without heat generation through homogeneous and isotropic material having constant thermal conductivity K with respect to temperature. And we are going to discuss heat conduction through plain hollow cylinder or cylindrical wall under above mentioned conditions. Let us say this is the one such cylindrical body through which we want to analyze one-dimensional steady-state heat conduction without heat generation, and material of this cylindrical wall is homogeneous and isotropic, and its thermal conductivity K is constant with respect to temperature. So let us say this is the thermal conductivity K. The inner surface, the inner radius of this cylinder is R1 and outer radius is R2. Inner surface is at temperature T1 and outer surface is at temperature T2. Let's say T1 is greater than T2. Now, as we know, heat can flow into this cylinder in three directions. One is radial direction, another is tangential direction, and third one is axial direction. But since we are considering one-dimensional steady-state heat conduction, and that is also in radial direction. So in this case, by virtue of this temperature difference, I am assuming heat can flow only in radial direction, and since inner surface is at higher temperature than the outer surface, so heat transfer will take place from inner surface to the outer surface. So by virtue of this heat transfer, the surface temperature of this cylinder will vary in the radial direction, and let's say it is Tr or only T. So no heat flow in either tangential or radial direction. Whatever heat is being flown, that is flowing only in the radial direction. And let's say the length of this cylinder under consideration is L. Later on we will come to this temperature profile. So when heat is flowing from inner surface to the outer surface, temperature of this surface will change continuously, and locus of all those temperatures can be drawn, and it will give you this shape. What will be its shape? How does it look like? That we will be discussing in subsequent slides. Now, since the body under consideration is of cylindrical shape, so we have to recall generalized heat conduction equation in cylindrical coordinates, which is given as follows: del square T over del R square plus 1 by R del T over del R plus 1 upon R square T over del phi square plus del square T over del Z square plus Q dot G over K is equal to 1 by alpha del T over del tau, where R, phi and Z are the direction of heat flow in cylinder. Q dot G is the volumetric heat of generation, and alpha is thermal diffusivity and tau is time. However, since we have assumed one-dimensional steady-state heat conduction without heat generation through this plain hollow cylinders, so this equation 1 is not going to serve our purpose. So we have to modify this equation as per our stipulations. So The first stipulation is one-dimensional heat conduction in the radial direction only. So there will be no heat transfer in either tangential or axial direction. So because of this stipulation, del square T over del phi square is equal to 0. It means there is no heat flow in the tangential direction and hence temperature. Similarly, del square T over del Z square is equal to 0. That is, there is no heat transfer and hence no temperature variation in the axial direction. Second stipulation, we are considering steady state heat transfer. So any variation of temperature with respect to time will be 0. We are not assuming any heat generation within the cylindrical body. So as a result of this, Qg or Q dot G will be 0. When we apply above stipulations to equation 1, it changes to del square T over del R square plus 1 by R del T over del R is equal to 0. In the limiting case, T square T over del R square plus 1 by R dt over dr is equal to 0. If I take 1 by R common, it will take the shape 1 by R into d square T over del R square plus del T over del R is equal to 0. In the previous equation, 1 by R cannot be 0. Hence, the only equation remains is, after simplifying, d by dr into r into dt by dr is equal to 0. This is equation number 2. Equation number 2 is the governing equation for one-dimensional steady-state heat conduction through the homogeneous and isotropic cylinder. And if we solve this differential equation, it will give us the variation of temperature inside the cylindrical surface in the radial direction. So we have to get the solution of this differential equation. So in order to get its solution, we have to integrate for twice. Why twice? Because it is second order differential equation. So on first integration of equation 2, it will give me r into dt over dr is equal to C1, where C1 is a constant, or dt by dr is equal to C1 by r. Let's say this is equation number 3. On second integration, it will give me T is equal to C1 log R plus C2. So this equation 4 will give the variation of temperature of cylindrical surface in the radial direction. But what is the problem here? C1 and C2 are constants, and unless otherwise we know their value, I cannot find out the value of temperature of the cylindrical surface at any radius r. So in order to find out the value of these constants C1 and C2, we have to apply boundary conditions. Boundary condition number 1, at r is equal to r1, that is at the inner surface of the cylinder, temperature T is equal to T1, and at r is equal to r2, that is at the outer surface of the cylinder, temperature is T2. If I apply these two boundary conditions to equation number 4, I will get T1 is equal to C1 log R1 plus C2, equation number 5, and T2 is equal to C1 log R2 plus C2, equation number 6. Solving equations 4 and 5 simultaneously, it will give me the value of constants C1 is equal to T1 minus T2 over log R1 by R2, or C1 is equal to minus T1 minus T2 over log R2 by R1, and value of constant C2 as T1 log R2 by R1 plus T1 minus T2 into log R1 over log of R2 over R1. Putting the values of these constants C1 and C2 into equation 4 will give me this expression. T is equal to minus T1 minus T2 over log of R2 by R1, that is the value of constant C1 into log R, plus T1 into log R2 over R1 plus T1 minus T2 into log R1 over log of R2 over R1. So this is the value of constant T2. Simplifying this expression will give me T is equal to 1 upon log R2 by R1. It is common to entire term, and after rearranging will give me T1 log R2 by R1 plus T1 minus T2 into log R1 minus T1 minus T2 log R. So this is the equation 7, and now it can give me the variation of temperature of the cylindrical surface with respect to any distance r in the radial direction. Now here, except r, all the things are known to me. R1, R2 will be known to me, and T1 and T2, that is surface temperature at the inner and outer sides, will be known to me. So only unknown is the r, that is the distance in the radial direction, and at this distance I can find out this temperature here. So equation 7 is very important equation to calculate temperature of variation of cylindrical surface. Further, writing this equation 7 in non-dimensional form will give me T minus T1 over T2 minus T1 is equal to log of R over R1 over log of R2 over R1, where R1 is less than R equal to R is less than R equal to R. So this is the equation 8, and if we analyze this equation 8, it is evident that temperature distribution associated with radial heat conduction through a cylinder is logarithmic and not linear as plane. If you remember, the variation of temperature in the plane slab, this is a straight line, is linear. Whereas in this case, in case of cylinder, this profile will be logarithmic, and any logarithmic profile is represented by a curved line. So in the next slide, we will be showing how to represent this logarithmic profile. Furthermore, temperature at any point in the cylinder can be expressed as a function of radius only. If R1, R2, T1, T2 are considered to be constant, temperature is assumed to vary with respect to R only. Lines of constant temperature, that is isotherms, are then a concentric circles lying between the inner and outer cylinder boundaries. Now, after finding out the temperature variation, let us find out what will be the rate of heat transfer, which is being transferred from inner to outer surface by virtue of temperature difference T1 and T2. So since we are considering one-dimensional heat conduction only, so we can recall Fourier's law of heat conduction, which is Q is equal to minus Ka dt over dr. Here dr is the thickness of the cylinder in the radial direction. This is also called as length of path of heat. But from equation 3 we know the value of dt by dr is equal to C1 by r, and also we have the value of constant C1. So putting the value of C1 by r into this equation will give me Q is equal to minus Ka C1 by r, which will be equal to K into A into T1 minus T2 over R into log of R2 by R1. This is the value, this is the entire value of constant C1. After simplifying this, it will give me Q into K into 2 pi R L into T1 minus T2 over R into log R2 by R1. Surface area of cylinder having radius r and its length L can be given as 2 pi r L. So after simplifying, Q will become 2 pi KL T1 minus T2 over log of R2 by R1. So this is the rate of heat transfer from cylindrical surface. On rearranging, it will give me Q is equal to T1 minus T2 over log of R2 by R1 by 2 pi KL. Writing this in terms of the potential difference, that is temperature difference, and thermal resistance, I can write it as T1 minus T2 over RT. If I compare these two equations, it will give me value of RT, which is nothing but thermal contact resistance offered by cylinder or cylindrical surface, which is equal to log of R2 over R1 over 2 pi KL. We have also seen in case of plane wall having its thickness L, thermal conductivity K, and area normal to heat flow, how much thermal resistance it is going to offer? L over Ka. So similarly, if this is a, instead of plane wall, if this is a cylindrical wall, so how much thermal resistance the material of this cylindrical surface is going to offer? This is log of R2 over R1 over 2 pi KL, where R1 is the inner radius, R2 is the outer radius, K is thermal conductivity, and L is the length of this cylinder. From this, we have deduced very important relation for cylindrical, plane cylinder or plane cylindrical wall, that is thermal contact resistance, rate of heat transfer, and before this, temperature variation within the cylindrical wall. So this diagram further represents so many values. So if for the cylinder under consideration, I can draw the equivalent electrical circuit. So Q is the rate of heat transfer, T1, T2 are the temperatures. It will give us temperature difference. So the material of this cylinder will offer thermal resistance, RT cylindrical wall, and it is given by 1 over 2 pi KL into log of R2 by R1. Now here the concentric circles represented by blue color, they are nothing but circles of constant temperature, or they are also called as isotherms. What does it mean? If you move along any surface, any concentric circle, temperature will be constant everywhere. Similarly, here, though temperature will be different from previous one, but along this circle, temperature will be constant everywhere. That is why they are called as isotherms. So the shape of the isotherms in case of plane cylindrical wall will be concentric circles. Please mind well. This is first conclusion. Second, as heat is flowing in the radial direction, temperature at every point is going with respect to R. So it will be maximum at the inner surface and minimum at the outer surface, because T1 is greater than T2. So the locus of all the temperatures is nothing but temperature profile, and in case of cylindrical wall, this profile will be of logarithmic in nature, and hence it is drawn by a curved line. So it is represented by curved line, whereas in case of plane wall, the temperature profile is linear. So mind well. Again, one more question for GATE examination. For 1 marks, The temperature profile in case of plain cylindrical wall is linear, hyperbolic, logarithmic, parabolic. So answer will be logarithmic. Please remember this important expression we could deduce. Now let us discuss some salient points about the heat conduction through plane cylindrical wall. So the very first salient point is surface area of a cylindrical surface changes with radius. Therefore, the rate of heat conduction through a cylinder is usually expressed per unit length rather than per unit area as in case of plane wall. So if I have to consider heat transfer rate, I will always consider as a heat transfer rate per unit length in case of cylinder. Whereas in case of plane wall, since area is constant everywhere, I used to consider it as watt per meter square. Whereas in case of cylinder, we will consider it as watt per meter length. Heat transfer rate per unit length, its unit will be watt per meter. Point number 2, the heat flow rate through a plane wall is the same for isothermal surfaces and therefore the temperature gradient remains constant for all isothermal surfaces. However, with a cylindrical surface, that heat falls off inversely with radius. This is because the same amount of heat flows through the cylinder and it passes through the steadily increasing area. So at any radius r, heat flux can be given as Q over A. The rate of heat transfer for cylindrical surface is 2 pi KL into T1 minus T2 over log of R2 by R1 divided by surface area 2 pi RL. So I can write heat transfer per unit area for cylindrical surface as 2 into T1 minus T2 over log of R2 by R1 into 1 by R. So from this discussion we can see the heat flux rate is proportional to 1 by R. Point number 3, temperature distribution at any radius R where Q and T1 are known. So if you know the rate of heat transfer through cylindrical surface and initial temperature T1, you can find out temperature distribution at any point in the radial direction. T is equal to T1 minus Q into log R over R1 over 2 pi KL. So you vary the value of R, you will get the temperature at that point. And point number 4, the temperature profile T minus T1 over T2 minus T1 is equal to log of R over R1 over log of R2 over R1 is nearly or almost linear for low values of R2 and R1. That means if the thickness of the cylinder is very small such that R2 is almost equal to R1, so under this case the temperature profile will be almost linear, but it will be significantly non-linear for large values of R2 and R1. So if plane wall is sufficiently of higher thickness, in that case temperature variation will be now no longer remain linear. It will be a curved line and it will be logarithmic in variation. Please keep this thing in mind. Now logarithmic mean area for the hollow cylinder. Now many times it is convenient and advantageous to express the equation of heat transfer rate for hollow cylinder in the same form as that for plane wall. Under such conditions, thickness L of the plane wall will be equal to R2 minus R1 and area A of the cylinder will be an equivalent area AM, and it is called as logarithmic mean area. So let us consider there is a one such cylinder having its radius R1 and outer radius R2. Inner surface temperature is T1, outer surface temperature T2, and its thermal conductivity is K. Let's say we want to represent the heat transfer rate through this hollow cylinder in the same form as that given by the rate of heat equation through this plane wall, having at the temperatures T1 and T2, and its thickness L will be equal to R2 minus R1. So whatever the area of the cylinder will be there, that is called as logarithmic mean area, the hollow cylinder. So this logarithmic mean area of the cylinder is so chosen that heat flow through cylinder and plane wall will be equal for the same temperature difference. That is Q cylinder is equal to Q plane wall. Now I can write the equation of rate of heat transfer from the cylinder T1 minus T2 over log of R2 by R1 over 2 pi KL, and through plane wall as T1 minus T2 over L upon K, that is R2 minus R1 over K into AM. After rearranging, log of R2 over R1 over 2 pi KL is equal to R2 minus R1 over KAM, where AM is the logarithmic mean area. After further rearrangement, it will give me AM is equal to 2 pi L into R2 minus R1 over log of R2 over R1. Multiplying 2 pi L with the R2 and R1 will give me 2 pi R2 L minus 2 pi R1 L, capital L, over log of 2 pi R2 L over 2 pi R1 L. I have multiplied numerator and denominator with 2 pi L. So it is not going to change the expression. Further, AM is equal to 2 pi L R2 minus R1 over log of R2 over R1. So after, this is nothing but surface area. So expression for logarithmic mean area will be A2 minus A1 over log of A2 minus A1 is equal to A2 minus A1 over log of A2 by A1. This can be deduced from the law of logarithms. Okay, what is this? Log of m minus log of n can also be written as log of m over n. So this is the logarithmic mean area for the hollow cylinder if its heat transfer rate can be expressed in the same form as that for plane cylinder, where AM is the logarithmic mean area of the cylinder, A1 is inner surface area of the cylinder, A2 is outer surface area of the cylinder, and further AM can also be expressed as 2 pi Rm into L is equal to 2 pi L R2 minus R1 over log of R2 by R1, where Rm is logarithmic mean radius and it can be given as equal to R2 minus R1 over log of R2 over R1. So this is the logarithmic mean radius for hollow cylinder. This will give you logarithmic mean area and this will give you logarithmic mean radius for hollow cylinder. Now let us discuss another important point or important topic. Heat conduction through plain hollow cylinder carrying hot fluid inside and it is exposed to the cold fluid outside. So we can also refer this topic as combined mode of heat transfer through the hollow cylinder. So let us consider this diagram where this hollow cylinder is carrying one hot fluid at the inside, having its temperature T infinity suffix I. It is exposed to the cold fluid, having its outer fluid temperature T infinity suffix O. Let's say inner surface temperature of this cylinder is T1 and outer surface temperature is T2. Its radius are R1 and R2 respectively. Let's say its thermal conductivity is K and its thickness is L. Once again, we are considering heat flow only in the radial direction. Now what will happen? There are two fluids, hot fluid inside, cold fluid outside, and this temperature is the maximum temperature. Okay. So what will happen? By virtue of this temperature difference between hot and cold fluid, heat transfer will take place in the radial direction from inner side of the cylinder to the outer side. So this fluid surface or this hot fluid film is going to offer thermal resistance to this heat conduction, and it will be represented by RTI between the temperature T infinity I and T1. When heat is flowing through this thickness of the cylindrical wall, it is also going to offer thermal resistance. It will be by conduction. And further, when heat is flowing from outer surface to the colder fluid, the cold fluid film will offer thermal resistance to the heat flow, and that will be by convection. So it will be convective thermal resistance. So what is the point of discussion? When a plain cylinder is carrying hot and cold fluid, hot fluid will offer thermal resistance by convection, cylindrical surface will offer thermal resistance by conduction, and once again cold fluid will offer thermal resistance by convection. So let us analyze one-dimensional heat conduction under such condition. So under one-dimensional steady-state condition through this cylinder, the rate of heat transfer will be equal to rate of heat transfer through hot fluid film, that is from inner surface to the inner surface of the cylinder, rate of heat transfer through cylindrical wall, and finally rate of heat transfer from outer surface to the cold fluid, Q suffix 2-O. Now Qi-1 is the rate of heat transfer from hot fluid to the inner surface. So that will be by convection. So it can be given by Fourier's law of heat conduction, T infinity I minus T1 over 1 upon Hi into Ai, where Hi is the convective heat transfer coefficient of hot fluid, is equal to heat transfer will take place by conduction through cylindrical wall. So from Fourier's law of heat conduction, it can be written as T1 minus T2 over log of R2 over R1 divided by 2 pi KL. Just now we have deduced this expression. And finally, heat transfer from outer surface to the cold fluid will be by convection. So T2 minus TO over 1 upon HO into AO, where HO is the convective heat transfer coefficient of cold fluid. Convective heat transfer coefficient for cold fluid, and this will be convective heat transfer coefficient of hot fluid. So it can be further represented in terms of thermal resistances. Q is equal to T infinity I minus T1 over RTI is equal to T1 minus T2 over RT is equal to T2 minus TO over RT, where RTI is nothing but convective thermal resistance by the hot fluid film is equal to 1 upon HI into AI. This area is nothing but inner surface area. It can be written as 1 upon HI into 2 pi R1L. RT is the conductive thermal resistance by the cylindrical wall. It can be given as 1 over 2 pi KL into log of R2 over R1 Kelvin per watt. And finally RTO is equal to convective thermal resistance by outer cold fluid film to the path of heat flow. It can be given as 1 upon HO AO. AO is the outer surface area, so it can be written as 1 upon HO into 2 pi R to L. So this way we can express convective and conductive resistances in case of combined mode of heat transfer through a plane cylinder or cylindrical wall. Now if I consider all these three resistances and hot fluid and cold fluid temperature, so I can write heat transfer rate equation T infinity I minus T infinity O, and between these two temperatures all the three surfaces, that is fluid surface, cylindrical wall surface and cold fluid surfaces, are coming into picture. So their resistances will get add up. So RTI plus RT plus RTO is equal to T infinity I minus T infinity O over summation of RT, where RT is nothing but RTI plus RT plus RTO. Now let us define the overall heat transfer coefficient for this arrangement. We know overall heat transfer coefficient comes into picture when there is a combined mode of heat transfer. That is, heat transfer takes place by conduction and convection both in the system. And in terms of U, Q can be expressed by Q is equal to UA into T infinity I minus T infinity O. Now if we compare equation A and B, I will get relationship between U and total thermal resistance as UA is equal to 1 upon summation of RT. Now, since in case of plane cylinder, we have inner surface, we have outer surface, and both are varying in area. So for plane cylindrical surface, we will have the concept of overall heat transfer coefficient based upon the inner radius and overall heat transfer coefficient based upon the outer radius. So let us consider case 1 on inner area of the cylinder. So in this case, Ui Ai will be equal to 1 upon summation of RT. 1 upon summation of RT is nothing but summation of all the three thermal resistances by hot fluid, by surface, by cold fluid. If I multiply this inner area to this, I will get AI over AI HI plus 2 pi R1L over 2 pi KL log R2 by R1 plus 2 pi R1L over 2 pi R2 into L into HO. So after simplifying, I will get overall heat transfer coefficient on inner area basis equal to 1 upon Hi plus R1 by L log R2 by R1 plus R1 over R2 into 1 upon H. Similarly, I can find out the overall heat transfer coefficient based upon outer area of the cylinder. So under such condition, UO into AO will be equal to 1 upon summation of RT. This is the total thermal resistance. If I multiply this outer area with this expression, it will become 2 pi R2L over 2 pi Hi into R1L. Plus 2 pi R2 into L over 2 pi KL into log of R2 by R1, and in this case it will get cancelled. So UO will be equal to 1 upon R2 over R1 into 1 upon Hi plus R2 over L into log R2 by R1 plus 1 upon HO. So this will be the overall heat transfer coefficient based upon outer radius. So this way we can have the expressions for U based upon inner or outer area of the cylinder, considering combined mode of heat transfer. So learning outcomes of this video. So after watching this video, you will be able to explain one-dimensional steady-state heat conduction through plane cylinder, and you will be able to define and derive expressions for overall heat transfer coefficient for plane cylindrical wall. Thank you for passionate listening. Happy learning.